Welcome to another awesome video.
Mission Impossible 7 is coming out in just days, so we thought it'd be cool to go back and rank films 1 through 6.
I'm hyped for number 7.
Yes, we're going to look at films 1 through 3, then 4 to 6, try to pick the winner, and we'll see how that stacks up against 7.
We're going to be ranking the film, and we're going to look at the bosses, the bad guys, the fights, and the technology.
Okay, well let's get started. So Mission Impossible 1 came out in 1996. That is clearly a Brian De Palma film. It has all those crazy Hitchcock camera angles.
Do you mean the Dutch angle? It makes the audience feel uneasy when the character feels uneasy.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, but yeah, it definitely looks like a Brian De Palma film. That one came out in 96. That was years after the TV show.
I thought throwing the gum at the fish tank was pretty cool.
Film number 2 was another director with a definite style. That was John Woo. That came out in 2000. So I like number 1 better.
Yeah, I liked 1 better. Now two just reminded me more of The Matrix.
People used to say, well, you know, the plot of 1 was too complicated, but it really wasn't. You had to kind of listen and pay attention, but it wasn't that complicated. The thing about 2 is it was all about the visual style. It's like a painting, you know, all this slow motion.
Yeah.
They had the dance with the characters and the car spinning around. Everything was like this dance. I feel like the slow motion and all that stuff doesn't age as well.
Even though The Matrix did a pretty good job at that.
Anyway, 1 and 2, I'm going to have to say 1 wins. It looks like you agree with me over there. Fast forward 6 years, and we have Mission Impossible 3, which looks like it was done basically by the Lost TV crew. You got J.J. Abrams, the same writers, same music. I like this one, and I'm just going to go ahead and say, I mean, that beats 1 in my opinion.
Yeah, 3 was, like, good. There was, like, they kidnapped his wife.
Number 3 really makes it real. You see him going to a funeral and getting married and driving a Volvo, and, you know, he gets pushed against that car, so you really feel, I guess, it makes the characters more human, and things, you know, technology doesn't work. It lets them down. It was kind of a trend, because I think Casino Royale, the James Bond reboot, came out, and it sort of was more down to earth, so...
You remember how he hung Philip Seymour Hoffman out of the plane?
Yeah.
I'm like, how could he hear over that jet noise?
Yeah. Anyway, so in my opinion, number 3 is the best film. Looks like you agree with me. Let's talk about the best bosses and bad guys. So the best boss, Henry Cerny, seems like what a government bureaucrat would be. He has those great lines like, you know, send this guy to Alaska, we'll mail him his clothes. Anthony Hopkins is a great actor, but I feel like he was just set dressing. He just sort of wandered in, made his little speech, and wandered out.
It's not Mission Difficult, it's Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that was a great line.
I'm gonna have to go with 3. Lawrence Fishburne actually did a good job.
You like Lawrence Fishburne? Yeah, he was a good, and he was in The Matrix, of course.
He was also in the Predators TV show, I believe.
He was?
Yeah, it came out in like 2010.
So here we have a difference of opinion. So I think Kittredge is the best boss. You think Fishburne?
Yeah, I liked how his reaction was when Tom Cruise put the walkie-talkie by the radio and was playing some song. I forgot what song that was.
Yeah. Who was the best bad guy? So, from what I read online, the guy Peter Graves, who actually played Jim Phelps in the TV series, angrily walked out of the theater because they'd basically taken his good guy character and turned him into a bad guy. Of 1 and 2, Dougray Scott was the bad guy. It looks like you like 2 better.
Because the guy reminds me of Jaws from James Bond.
Yeah, he does sort of look a little bit like Richard Kiel. But anyway,
his dad actually met before.
Yeah, that's another story. Philip Seymour Hoffman was my choice for the best bad guy. At the time, I thought, you know, Philip Seymour Hoffman, he's not really a heavy bad guy, but that performance has aged well. When you look back, it's just creepy. You know, he has that line about, I'm just going to kill your girlfriend or whatever.
I'm going to find her. Whoever she is, I'm going to find her and I'm going to hurt her.
He's like the Terminator.
Like, I think it goes back to number 3 being in more of a realistic, use that word in quotes, realistic film, and he's a lot more believable.
What cinematography was pretty good, like when he was running down in that village.
Yeah.
Like they were following him. I was like, that was really good.
Mission Impossible 4, otherwise known as Ghost Protocol, is also where they dropped the numbering scheme and they just had, you know, the name of the movie. 2 different intro sequences, which is interesting. An IMF agent
getting shot.
Yeah, he gets shot.
Which is also the same guy from Lost.
Yeah, Josh.
Long-haired guy.
Josh Holloway. Sawyer from Lost gets
murdered.
So you have a serious opening, and then you also have sort of a comic relief opening. Dean Martin music and Tom Cruise escaping from a Russian prison. They sort of bring technology back to the forefront. They simulate this hallway with cameras in a Kremlin, and they have the magic door opener thing, just like in Terminator 2. Mission Impossible 4, it's back to sort of the more traditional, you know, these agents do magic
Yeah, and then
things.
the police notice that the screen starts to glitch.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
They were like, what?
before we talk about 5, I just want to say that 5 and 6 sort of go together as a pair. 4 was probably my least favorite of the 3 new ones. The only thing is...
And the stunts were cooler in 4.
Yes. I feel like Jeremy Renner and Tom Cruise were sort of jockeying for alpha position. It was a little disjointed. I think that was the one where they had that sandstorm scene that seemed to go on too long.
I'm going to go with 4 because the stunts were cool and stuff.
Okay. So you like 4 better. I like 5 better. So let's talk about 5.
5 is still pretty good because he goes on that plane that he's hanging off. I thought that was cool.
Number 5, Rogue Nation, I feel like was really number 4 done right. The plot was a lot tighter. They borrowed a lot of elements from past films. I mean, you had the knock list from the first one, sort of you're looking for a list. You had motorcycles from the second one. You had the kidnap scenario from the third one. You had the BMW crash from the fourth one. And we get to know a bunch of new characters like Ilsa and then Lane and Alec Baldwin. So I thought 5 was the stronger film.
Yeah. Well, I might change this actually because...
Have I talked you out of your vote here? No.
Yes.
4 had that cool stunt where they're on the side of the building there in Dubai. That was kind of awesome.
Yeah, I think you talked me out of my vote there.
Oh, okay.
I changed my mind because I just remember the plane scene and the dramatic and the lighting. Okay. So I'm going to go with 5.
We both were in agreement on 3, so let's talk about bosses and bad guys. I feel like Tom Wilkinson, his impact in that 2 minutes or whatever he was in the movie was greater than Hopkins or
Baldwin.
Baldwin just was given more to work with. So I'm probably going to say that as far as bosses go, I'm going to probably say Baldwin was better than Wilkinson, but Wilkinson had a great performance.
Baldwin actually did a pretty good job, and he was a pretty good boss because the team was being hunted by IMF.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then they tricked that other guy.
Let's talk about bad guys.
4 was
the nuclear plot, right? I thought he was just kind of a caricature Bond villain. 5 was the...
I think 5's boss is better.
Yeah, he was evil because he shot that girl in the record store, and then he ends up coming back in 6, you know. Yeah.
I'm going to say 5 is the better bad guy.
Yeah, me too. So I'd say 5 is the better bad guy. So we got 4 and 5. Let's now look at 5 and 6.
The boss returns, and then there's a bunch of other people.
Yeah, we have some more side characters introduced. I feel like 6 is probably the stronger one. Anyway, so
I like the Halo jump, the bathroom fight scene.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about fights yet, but yeah, that bathroom fight scene was pretty cool. In 6, you had Henry Cavill, who was sort of the bad guy, along with Harris. They brought back. So I think you have a point there that 6 might be the stronger bad guy.
The guy also in 5, he was also in 5, also seemed elusive and creepy.
Same thing with the boss. You know, you had Angela Bassett and Alec Baldwin, whereas in 6, Baldwin got back in the field. Anyway, so which one do you think is better of 3 or 6?
6 would have had a bigger stunt.
I'm going to have to go with 3 just because I think it deals more with character and stuff, where, you know, there's always going to be bigger stunts. But I would say that 4 to 6 is more about stunts and action.
7 also is probably going to be like that.
I hope so. I mean, I like it. It's all, you know, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying what I think it's his opinion, obviously. In my view, 3 is the best movie, the best villain, and 1 had the best IMF boss. In your view, Fallout across the board was the favorite. So before we end the video, let's talk about 2 other things you want to talk about: best fights and action and technology. Mission Impossible has always had that self-destruct thing, and in this series they've used DV tapes, they've used record players. As far as the depiction of technology and what you could do,
they also used the original tape from like the TV show, and I think in 5 or 6.
Yeah, but 1 was sort of a low point with some ridiculous stuff, typing up some stuff, but that way I think was just an artifact of the age of the film. 2,
the internet did exist. So.
Yeah, definitely. 2 was a little bit more realistic, but again, you know, the mask. So I feel like 3 was a step up because technology failed. You know, you had the defibrillator failed, some gun shooting failed. I felt like we went back down with 4 just because...
Yeah, but their mask machine failed, remember?
Yeah, that's true. The mask machine did fail in 4.
They were given old equipment.
Yeah, the nuclear bomb... The nuclear bomb just stopped at the end. Technology, as these films go on, has been getting more realistic. It depends on the treatment of it.
Now we have deep fakes.
That's another thing. You bring up the deep fakes. I thought the scene where they had the fake CNN thing, that was great. Where they made the terrorists think the bomb had gone off and it hadn't. That was a great scene. That was kind of a low team.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
Fights and action. Obviously, the bathroom fight scene was a high point.
Fallout was pretty good.
I'd say on film number 1, that scene of him dropping from the ceiling, that is repeated over and over again. in future films, and that was obviously a key moment of the series. The gun popping up out of the sand, very silly and stylistic, but definitely a memorable moment. What else? What's your favorite action?
Oh yeah, him jumping out of the plane in that Halo jumpsuit during a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
And he has to save the Walker character's life.
Yeah.
And then they land on top of a building.
The train scene in the next movie and the motorcycle jump look to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think Tom Cruise did the motorcycle jump for real.
Well, it's been 10 minutes, so let's bring this video to a close. Let us know your rankings in the comments, and we'll try to update you after we see the next movie, hopefully this week.
See you next time for another awesome video. Also, please subscribe and leave a comment.